Using MSRs as developmental tools. The minimum skills requirements were not designed for evaluation. They were designed to anchor developmental conversations between mentor and coach. In this video, we look at how to translate inconsistent behavior observations into language a coach can act on, feedback that names a pattern, anchors it in evidence, and points toward growth. Picture this. You're reviewing a coaching session. You notice the coach asked 3 compound questions in a row, each one suggesting an answer. You write in your feedback. At 6:15, you asked a leading question. At 8:30, you asked another leading question. At 11:45, you asked a third leading question. These are inconsistent with Competency 7 per the ACC minimum skills requirements. Technically accurate, developmentally useless. The coach reads that and feels audited, not supported. There's a better way to use the same observation. That example is what I call the audit trap. You have the precision, you have the MSR references, you have the timestamps, and you list every single one. The coach reads it and sees a report card. They don't see a path forward. MSR language gives your feedback precision. Instead of your listening could improve, you can cite specific behaviors and name the MSR alignment. But precision without developmental intent is just grading. Here's the same observation written developmentally. At 4:20, you asked a clear, open-ended question that explored the client's beliefs about the situation. What's driving your concern about this? That's exactly what effective questioning at ACC level sounds like. Then, in the second half, I noticed a shift. At 12:30 and 14:15, the questions became compound and suggestive. The ACC MSR describes this as inconsistent when the majority of the coach's questions are leading, closed, or contain predetermined answers. And then the key move. I'd like you to listen to the 12:30 exchange and notice what happens to the client's energy after that question. Same observation, completely different landing. Look at these side by side. The generic version. Your questioning was good early, but dropped off. The coach reads that and thinks, what questioning? When? What does dropped off mean? The MSR anchored version names the specific behavior, identifies the pattern across the session, references the standard, and invites self-observation. The test, if the coach reads your feedback and knows exactly what to practice in their next client session, you've anchored well. If they know what happened but not what to do about it, you've under-anchored. If they feel audited, you've over-anchored. The reflection prompt at the end is not optional. It's the move that turns feedback into mentor coaching. When you listen back to the 12:30 exchange, notice what happens to the client's energy after your question. What do you observe about the impact? That invites the coach to see it for themselves. You're not telling them their question was bad. You're directing their attention to the evidence so they can draw their own conclusion. That's mentor coaching, not evaluation delivery. When does precision help? When the coach doesn't know what to work on. I got good feedback, but I don't know what to do with it. That's the coach who needs MSR anchored language. They need you to name the specific behavior, connect it to the standard, and show them where to focus. For that coach, generic feedback is worse than no feedback. It confirms they're doing okay without telling them what okay actually means at the ACC level. When does precision become pedantic? When every sentence in your feedback references an MSR code number. when the feedback reads like an evaluation report, when the coach feels graded, not guided. The skill is selecting the observations that have the highest developmental leverage, not cataloging every behavior. A coach can absorb feedback on 3 to 4 points per session. Choose wisely. If you address 7 behaviors, you've written a thorough report. You haven't written useful feedback. Here's the principle on screen. High selectivity, high insight. That's the quadrant you're aiming for. You're using MSR language to name what you see, not to score every item. Not every behavioral statement needs to appear in your feedback. The goal, the coach reads your feedback and knows exactly what to practice in their next client session. They see themselves in your observation. They understand the standard, and they have a reflection prompt that helps them develop the awareness on their own. MSR language is a tool for precision, not a cage for your feedback. Use it to name what you see. Use your own voice and the coach's context to make it land. That's the balance. You have the behavioral statements, you know what consistent and inconsistent look like, and you know how to use MSR language developmentally. Next, the math. How do all these ratings become a score? The scoring algorithm is simpler than you'd expect, and understanding it helps you calibrate where your MC client stands.